Welcome to AfriFreedomChannel, your trusted source for transformative stories shaping Africa's future. Today, we delve into a groundbreaking development from Burkina Faso, where Captain Ibrahim Traore has initiated a monumental step towards agricultural empowerment. Before we proceed, kindly like, share, and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on impactful narratives like this. We also encourage you to share your thoughts respectfully in the comment section below. Your engagement enriches our community. The information presented in this video is based on publicly available sources and is intended for informational purposes only. While we strive for accuracy, we acknowledge that details may evolve over time. We encourage viewers to conduct further research and consult official channels for the most current information. Captain Ibrahim Traore has allocated over 13 billion CFA francs towards agricultural equipment to bolster Burkina Faso's farming sector.
It is now undeniable fact that Captain Ibrahim Traore, the president of Burkina Faso, is a nightmare for corrupt African leaders. While they hop from one international summit to another, begging for loans and aid that disappear into their pockets, Traore is proving that Africa does not need handouts. Africa needs bold leadership, fearless action, and a clear vision for self-reliance. Once again, he has humiliated the continent's sellouts. In a decisive move, President Traore delivered a massive batch of agricultural equipment worth 13 billion FCFA to the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal and Fisheries Resources. This is not talk, this is action. The equipment, including bulldozers, graders, excavators, compactors, dump trucks and water tankers, is part of an ambitious plan to revolutionize Burkina Faso's agricultural sector and achieve food self-sufficiency. After witnessing this monumental step, I spent over 3 hours researching the deeper motivations behind Captain Traore's agricultural revolution. What I uncovered is nothing short of groundbreaking, proof that this leader is operating on an entirely different level of strategic thinking. If you want to understand why Captain Traore is investing billions in agriculture and how it is set to change the entire African landscape, like this video, subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for more eye-opening revelations. And now let's get into it. Across the vast and vibrant continent of Africa, a new wind is blowing. A wind of defiance, self-reliance, and unapologetic sovereignty. At its epicenter stands Captain Ibrahim Traore, the youthful leader of Burkina Faso, whose bold actions are not only transforming the land of the upright people, but also exposing the shameful inertia of African leaders who shuffle from one international summit to another, hands outstretched, begging for crumbs from the tables of former colonial masters and their modern-day proxies. While these leaders, dressed in tailored suits and armed with rehearsed speeches, grovel before the IMF, World Bank and Western donors, Traore is quietly, yet resolutely, rewriting the script of African leadership. His latest move, the delivery of a staggering 13 billion FCFA worth of agricultural equipment to Burkina Faso's Ministry of Agriculture on March 11, 2025, has sent shockwaves across the continent, leaving his counterparts clutching their loan agreements in embarrassment. Picture this: 10 loader shovels, 10 excavators, 10 graders, 33 compactors, 25 bulldozers, and an arsenal of utility vehicles including dump trucks, water tankers and cement mixers, all handed over to the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Resources and Fisheries in a ceremony that radiated pride and purpose. This wasn't a photo op propped up by foreign aid or a debt-financed mirage destined to burden future generations. No, this was Burkina Faso's own hard-earned cash. A testament to a nation determined to feed itself, to cultivate its own destiny, and to break free from the shackles of dependency that have held Africa hostage for far too long. While other leaders jet-set to Davos, Paris or Washington DC, peddling promises of reform in exchange for handouts, Traore is rolling up his sleeves, donning his signature camouflage and getting to work, right in the fields where Africa's true wealth lies. For decades, the narrative of African development has been hijacked by a parade of summits, glitzy, jargon-laden gatherings where leaders sip champagne and nod along to the condescending platitudes of foreign dignitaries. These events, whether hosted by the African Union, the United Nations, or some benevolent-sounding NGO, have become little more than stages for a humiliating ritual. African presidents and prime ministers, cap in hand, pleading for loans they cannot repay, an aid that comes with strings so tight they choke national sovereignty. Billions of dollars in debt have been amassed, yet hunger persists, infrastructure crumbles, and youth unemployment soars. The irony is as bitter as it is glaring. Africa, the continent with the richest soil, the most abundant resources, and the youngest population, reduced to a beggar at the gates of those who once plundered it. Then comes Captain Ibrahim Traore, a 37-year-old soldier turned statesman who seized power in September 2022, not to perpetuate this cycle of shame, but to shatter it. Since taking the helm, Traore has made it clear that Burkina Faso will no longer be a pawn in the global game of neo-colonial chess. He has rejected the IMF and World Bank's predatory loans, severed military ties with France, and turned instead to the resources beneath Burkina Faso's feet and the resilience within its people's hearts. His vision is simple yet revolutionary, a Burkina Faso that feeds itself, defends itself, and stands tall among nations. And with this latest agricultural equipment delivery, he has taken a giant leap toward that vision, leaving his peers scrambling to explain their own inaction. The significance of this 13 billion FCFA investment cannot be overstated. Agriculture is the backbone of Africa, employing over 60% of its workforce and holding the key to food security, economic stability, and rural development. Yet, for too long, African leaders have treated it as an afterthought, chasing shiny urban projects or extractive industries that benefit foreign corporations more than local communities. Traore, however, understands that true power lies in the soil. The equipment he delivered, financed not by loans but by Burkina Faso's own revenues, including its burgeoning gold sector, is designed to bolster hydro-agricultural infrastructure under the Presidential Initiative for Agricultural Production and the Agro-Pastoral Offensive. These initiatives aim to tackle water management challenges, boost cereal production, and transform Burkina Faso into a breadbasket not just for itself, but for the Sahel region. The numbers speak for themselves. In 2024, Burkina Faso achieved a record cereal production of nearly 6 million tons, a feat Traore's administration credits to sustain support for farmers, from seeds and fertilizers to machinery. Now, with this latest batch of equipment, the nation is poised to accelerate that progress. Loader shovels will dig irrigation channels, excavators will sculpt the land, graders will level fields, compactors will firm the foundations, and bulldozers will clear the way for a new era of agricultural abundance. Meanwhile, utility vehicles like dump trucks and water tankers will ensure that no corner of Burkina Faso's rural heartland is left behind. This is not just an investment in machines. It's an investment in people, in dignity, in the future. Contrast this with the spectacle of African leaders at the recent slew of international summits. In January 2025 alone, heads of state flocked to Europe and North America, touting ambitious partnerships that amounted to little more than repackaged debt traps. One president returned with a $500 million loan to modernize his country's economy, only for half of it to vanish into offshore accounts before the ink dried. Another secured a generous aid package tied to trade concessions that will see his nation's raw materials shipped out while finished goods flood back in at exorbitant prices. These are not partnerships, they are parasitism dressed up as progress. And yet, these leaders struck back home, chest puffed with pride, as if borrowing money they cannot repay is a mark of statesmanship. Traore's actions expose this farce for what it is. Here is a leader who in just over 2 years has taken Burkina Faso's GDP from $18.8 billion to $22.1 billion, cleared a $4.7 billion external debt, and rejected the begging bowl in favour of self-sufficiency. Here is a man who, instead of jetting off to plead for aid, stays home to deliver tractors and tillers to his farmers. Here is a captain who, unlike his counterparts, sees Africa's wealth not as something to be pawned off to the highest bidder, but as a resource to be harnessed for the people. His move has shocked African leaders not because it's radical, self-reliance should be the norm, but because it lays bare their own cowardice and complicity. The embarrassment is palpable. At closed-door meetings of the African Union, whispers of Traore's recklessness mingle with nervous laughter. "How dare he?" they mutter, clutching their loan contracts like security blankets. "Who does he think he is, rejecting the West and still succeeding?" But the real question is, who do they think they are, clinging to a system that has kept Africa on its knees for generations? Traore's success is a mirror held up to their failure, and they cannot bear to look. His 13 billion FCFA equipment delivery, paid for without a single cent of foreign debt, is a slap in the face to every leader who claims there's no other way. There is another way, and Traore is walking it. This is not to say Burkina Faso's journey is without challenges. The nation remains embroiled in a decade-long insurgency, with jihadist groups displacing millions and testing Traore's resolve. Yet, even here, he refuses to follow the script. While others call on France or the US to save them, Traore has forged alliances with Mali and Niger under the Alliance of Sahel States, seeking African solutions to African problems. He has turned to Russia for military support, not out of blind allegiance, but as a strategic counterweight to Western dominance. His focus on agriculture amidst such turmoil is not a distraction. It's a declaration that security and development must go hand in hand, that a nation cannot fight on an empty stomach. For Pan-Africanists across the continent, Traore is more than a leader. He is a symbol. He evokes the spirit of Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary icon, whose assassination in 1987 left a void that Traore now fills. Like Sankara, he speaks of decolonizing minds, of building an Africa that stands on its own terms. But unlike Sankara, whose vision was cut short, Traore has the chance to see his through. His agricultural transformation is not just about Burkina Faso, it's a clarion call to the continent. If Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation battered by conflict and drought, can chart this path, what excuse do others have? The 13 billion FCFA equipment delivery is a milestone, but it's also a challenge. To African youth, it says, "You are enough." To African farmers, it says, "Your labour is the foundation of our freedom." To African leaders, it says, "The time for begging is over." And to the world, it says, "Africa is rising, not by your grace, but by our grit." As Traore handed over those keys to the Ministry of Agriculture, he wasn't just handing over machines, he was handing over hope, a blueprint, a revolution. So let the summit hoppers squirm, let the loan signers sweat, let the aid addicts tremble. Captain Ibrahim Traore has shown them up, not with words, but with action. While they chase shadows in foreign capitals, he is planting seeds in African soil, seeds that will grow into a harvest of dignity, prosperity and power. The question now is not whether Traore will succeed, but whether the rest of Africa's leaders will dare to follow. For too long, we've been told our salvation lies beyond our borders. Traore proves it lies beneath our feet. And that is the sweetest embarrassment of all. Before I conclude, please allow me say this. For too long, the African continent has been portrayed as the perpetual beggar, hands outstretched at glittering summits in Western capitals, pleading for crumbs from the tables of former colonial masters and their modern-day proxies. Year after year, African leaders don their finest suits, board planes, and sit through endless speeches at forums like the G7, G20, or the latest Africa Investment Summit, where promises of aid, loans, and partnerships are dangled like carrots before a weary donkey. Yet, the donkey never eats. It only grows weaker, more dependent, and more disillusioned. The time has come for Africa to reject this humiliating cycle of begging and turn inward to the one resource that has sustained us since time immemorial, our land. Agriculture, the heartbeat of our ancestors, must become the cornerstone of our liberation, and leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso are showing us the way. On March 11, 2025, Captain Traore, the youthful and resolute leader of Burkina Faso, handed over a massive batch of agricultural equipment to the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal and Fisheries Resources. Costing over 13 billion CFA francs, approximately $21 million USD, this investment included tractors, plows, irrigation systems and other tools designed to empower.
Initiative includes the distribution of critical machinery such as wheel loaders, excavators, graders, compactors, bulldozers, and utility vehicles. This substantial investment is not merely about equipment, it is about building resilience, modernizing agriculture, and improving food production capacity in a nation where nearly 80% of the population depends on farming to survive. How might this significant investment in agriculture transform the livelihoods of farmers and the overall economy of Burkina Faso? Burkina Faso continues to struggle with issues of food insecurity, exacerbated by climate variability, conflict, and outdated farming practices. Many communities still rely heavily on subsistence farming, often unable to produce enough to feed their families or earn a stable income. By introducing modern, high-capacity agricultural equipment, this move seeks to shift farming from subsistence to surplus, allowing farmers not only to meet their needs but to contribute meaningfully to national food reserves. In what ways can modern agricultural tools mitigate the impacts of climate change and enhance food security in vulnerable regions? Beyond simply providing machines, this initiative aims to empower local farmers, those who are too often overlooked when policy decisions are made. The availability of such equipment will improve efficiency, reduce the physical toll of manual labor, and help farmers become more productive and competitive. This empowerment translates into stronger local economies, reduced poverty, and more sustainable communities. How does empowering farmers with modern tools contribute to the broader goal of sustainable development in African nations? Captain Traore's commitment to revitalizing agriculture in Burkina Faso exemplifies the kind of leadership that responds to the real needs of the people. It signals a shift toward self-sufficiency and resilience in the face of regional and global uncertainty. This initiative not only addresses immediate agricultural challenges but also sets a precedent for other African leaders to invest in sectors that truly matter to their people. It's a reminder that real development begins in the soil, with the hands of the people, and with leaders who are bold enough to invest in them. Thank you for joining us on AfriFreedomChannel. Let us know what you think. Could this move by Captain Traore serve as a blueprint for agricultural reform across the continent? Are we witnessing a quiet agricultural revolution in West Africa? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to AfriFreedomChannel for more stories that capture the spirit of African resilience and progress. Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and stay free.